Welcome in. I'm your host, Jaye, and we are discussing the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers and how the investigation has become a recovery operation. Law enforcement has given us clues that they transitioned from a search and rescue operation to a recovery operation and actually came out and said it quite early on. We're going to go over that information. It is not good news, but it's important we inform ourselves as to where law enforcement is directing the investigation. Because although they are keeping things close to the vest for the integrity of the investigation, they have left us clues. Number one, they believe a crime was committed. Number two, 3 months ago on March 8th, they were heading into recovery operations. Number three, they expected to find evidence at the landfill search. It was not precautionary. This is Crime Time Buzz. Thank you so much for being here. This is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken as fact, but my opinions, speculations, and theories. Did you know when a child goes missing, according to TBI, after the first 24 hours go by, there is only a 1% chance of finding them alive? I bring that up because we are talking about a recovery operation, and statistically, I know it shouldn't shock us that after 4 months it is transitioned into a recovery operation, but we like to have hope. And I also want to say, remember, we should have hope until it has been proven differently. Look at Elizabeth Smart. She came home after 9 months. JC Dugard, 18 years, and the Cleveland Three, 10 years. So I'm sharing this with you from an investigative perspective, that it does appear that the search for Sebastian Rogers is a recovery operation. This is why they scaled back the search on March 4th. And we also heard that after 72 hours of searching for a runaway teen, the investigation took a turn. From runaway to what? Missing? Foul play? Crime? We don't know. Perhaps maybe because there was no scent leaving the house. And as they told Sebastian's father, Seth Rogers, no indication that Sebastian left that home. Is that why it took a turn? March 7th and 8th, law enforcement executed a search warrant and searched Hopkins County Landfill, and they mentioned recovery to the public. This is credit to Daniel Smithson and Brandon Tierney, WSMV4, in an article. They spoke to Sumner County Sheriff Sonny Weathersford. And it said, he is hopeful that they will still find Rogers and called their investigation a search and rescue operation, but he is concerned it will become a recovery operation if they are not able to get a solid lead soon. Well, that was on March 8th. It is July 8th with no solid lead. So they're in a recovery operation. They even mentioned it to the media that it was heading that way. And that was so early on. That was day 11 and 12. And they're at a landfill. When you're at a landfill, it's not a good sign. It's a sign of recovery, the opposite of proof of life, in my opinion. Law enforcement had probable cause to believe they were going to find evidence related to Sebastian's disappearance at that landfill. In order to obtain that search warrant, they had to have that probable cause. Law enforcement said it was precautionary search just in case, so they didn't miss anything, nothing leading them there. I will play an audio clip for you. Credit to Brandon Tierney, WSMV.
Well, the precautionary landfill search in Kentucky connected to the missing Sumner County teen is over. Investigators say they did not find anything related to the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, that 15-year-old with autism. Went missing about 2 weeks ago. Our Brendan Tierney's live in the studio with our continuing coverage on this search, and we know you just got off the phone with the sheriff. Brendan, what did he or she have to say?
Tracy, yeah, the sheriff told me that at this point he is still considering it to be a recovery search and rescue operation. He's concerned, though, that it might become a recovery effort as they are going further and further into it. After yesterday, they didn't find anything up at the landfill. He says that the trash company gets collected in Sebastian's neighborhood on Monday mornings. It was during that time period between when he was last seen and Sebastian was reported missing. So they went up there wanting to make sure they didn't miss anything from that time period. They didn't receive any specific tips about the landfill, and that's why after searching in the area, the trash from Monday was found. They were not able to come away with any additional evidence.
So they're saying in that video that it's precautionary. That's why they went there. And we here at Crime Time Buzz, we know they needed probable cause for that search warrant. We know that. And that it couldn't just be cover every bird base kind of thing, an inkling, a suspicion. If you missed that video I did on the landfill where I called the landfill, got some information, and we discussed it, I'll put it at the end. Be sure to watch that. They needed probable cause, not suspicion, and certainly more than precautionary steps to get that search warrant. Reasonable suspicion is a step before probable cause. And that's at the point of reasonable suspicion. It appears that a crime may have been committed. Well, friends, they need more than that. They need probable cause. And the situation escalates to probable cause when it becomes obvious that a crime has been committed. So, as our dear true crime friend and former FBI agent Jen Coffindaffer says, going missing is not a crime. So that is not the crime being addressed here. Okay. And they have to believe there's a crime to have that probable cause. And guess what, friends? That probable cause means they are 51% or more sure there has been a crime committed. I say 51% because that is the burden of proof required for probable cause. They need probable cause to search the landfill and get that search warrant. Brandon Tierney spoke to Sheriff Sonny Weatherford, also in an article, credit to he and Daniel Smithson, and he wrote, authorities said no leads or evidence pertaining to Rogers' whereabouts were discovered during the operation. The decision to search the landfill was made in accordance with ongoing investigative efforts and information gathered in the search for Rogers, the sheriff's office said. So, see, they did have, it wasn't just precautionary, it was based on information gathered in the search for Rogers. Probable cause, not precautionary. The fact that there was no scent from the house, would that be probable cause to search that landfill? What information did they gather? And what led them to believe they were looking for remains, a recovery operation that early on? Well, there are three ways to prove probable cause, which they needed in order to do that search. Burden of proof is a legal standard that requires parties to prove evidence to demonstrate that a claim is valid. And there's three levels. One is beyond a reasonable doubt. A reasonable doubt exists when one cannot say with moral certainty that a person is guilty, a crime existed, or a particular fact exists. So you have to have moral certainty, fact, that the landfill would reap evidence. Number two, a preponderance of the evidence. A preponderance of the evidence means an amount of evidence that is enough to persuade you that the claim is more likely true than not true. So that would mean that they would have had to have evidence, friends, that it was more likely true than not that they would find evidence in the landfill. Or three, clear and convincing, which determines the level of evidence required. According to the Supreme Court 1984, it means that the evidence is highly and substantially more likely to be true than untrue. In other words, the fact finder must be convinced that the contention is highly probable. So therefore, in this case, highly probable, they were going to find evidence in the landfill. What took them to that landfill? What evidence, probable cause do they have? Even though their 2-day search did not find evidence as to where Sebastian is or what happened to him, it's very telling because we know they have fulfilled burden of proof of a crime, evidence being there to get that search warrant. We heard he may have crawled into a trash can. Again, that would be reasonable suspicion, not probable cause without some proof. Could it have been they searched the landfill because allegedly on day 2 a dog hit on a dumpster in the construction site? They expected to find evidence, and it's stated here in this article, proving it was not precautionary. And again, it's Brandon Terry and Daniel Smithson, WSMV. While we hoped for a different outcome, our commitment to finding Sebastian's remains unwavering, Weatherford said. That's the sheriff. We will continue to explore all available avenues and resources to bring closure to this case and provide answers to Sebastian's family and loved ones. So, what was the outcome they expected? They had an outcome they were expecting. They expected something. What did they expect to find? Items belonging to Sebastian, remains. It points to a crime. That evidence would be in a landfill, possibly, and because there needed to be probable cause to search it. And it is not a crime to go missing. So, what is going on? What do they know? What information and evidence have they gathered during the search for Sebastian that gave them probable cause to search the landfill and begin transitioning from rescuing him to recovering him? Where is Sebastian Rogers? Hit that notification bell for the next video later on tonight. And if you have any information regarding the disappearance or location of 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers from Hendersonville, Tennessee, please call 1-800 TBI Find. Thank you so much for being here. Stay safe, friends. Talk soon.